Hello everybody. Welcome to Boston. Oh, look at that. Very nice, very nice. Oh dear. But we have the HistoryBoyCNY here, and today we...
This is a really, really old building.
Kind of like you. Back in Boston for a second time, and just walking around at this point. We had a very nice lunch, but I will be filming the hotel as well as.
My cell phone number is area code 315-225-2622.
And we have the and we have lots of different. We have a really nice hotel, and we just had very nice lunch. These streets are narrow for a city. I thought the streets where I lived were bad. Of course, it doesn't help that everyone's parking on the street either. Creating only about half a lane creating about one lane of open traffic, half a lane for each side. Not fun. Ah, dear. But let's see what happens. There we are. Alright. Yes, now in Boston Common Park, I believe. Oh, there goes the boat. But mostly heading to the visitor center. Whatever that means.
Yeah, park ranger vehicles.
Those are city rangers now.
Hey, you know what? We're in a big city. Put that away till we're
I have my camera.
Put the camera away.
That was weak. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Welcome to Boston. Welcome to the Freedom Trail. We're going to be doing about a 90-minute walking tour today. If you need water at any point, please just say, hey, where's the nearest water, Lucy? And I'll point you in that direction. Or if we need to sit down at any point, I know we have a broken ankle over here. I don't know why you're walking. That seems like a bad decision. No sass? No sass? None? Great. If you need somewhere to sit, I can help you out with that as well. We all have water. Some of us. We all have sunscreen on.
Maybe.
Yep. Good. Now we can get started. But it would be very rude if I didn't introduce myself. So hello.
Hello.
Guys, this is going to be so participatory. You have no idea. My name is Lucy Flucker Knox. I was born here in Boston in 1756.
You look good for your age.
Thank you. That was so quick. Thank you very much. Usually I have to prompt people, but that was great. Yes, I'm over 250 years old. What do you guys think my beauty secrets are?
The same as my grandmother uses.
Time travel.
Time travel.
Wine.
Wine?
That's what my grandmother uses.
That would be true.
Hey, Mom, be quiet. No. Sunscreen and Pond's cold cream. That's exactly how you do it. That's how you do it. But yes, I was born here in Boston. My father was a loyalist. Does anybody want to remind us what was a loyalist?
A British person, essentially.
Yeah, somebody who is loyal to the crown, thinks the deal we have going with England is good. We might not have the ability to have elections or elect our own government, but the economy is awesome. So, my father worked for the governor here. Our governor was appointed, not elected. We had 0 elected officials here. My father's name was Thomas Flucker, and can you two go like this real quick?
Your mom.
He's not going to do it. He's in high school. He's not going to listen to me.
Hear it on the bus.
And my mother was Mother Flucker.
I hear it in school every day. Don't worry.
I just don't want to corrupt your children. It's fine. I was not a good kid, though. I didn't listen to my parents. And the parents are standing right behind you. Don't do that. And I ended up falling in love and marrying a patriot. No, not Tom Brady, although I do love Tom Brady. Silence, really? You don't love Tom Brady?
I come to where everybody loves the Jets, even though they stink.
Tom Brady? Houston? No?
We might have a chest this year.
Giants.
Guys! I don't know. I never knew I could fall in love with somebody who wore Uggs on a daily basis, but I fell in love with him. My dad bought Uggs just because Tom Brady owns Uggs. It's ridiculous. I was not a good kid. Didn't listen to my parents. I ended up falling in love and marrying a man named Henry Knox. Has anybody ever heard of Mr. Henry Knox?
Colonel of the
Other
Artillery.
than him.
Colonel of the United States
I
Artillery.
said other than you.
I'm the only one who knows the answer.
You were pointing at your... Honey.
Go ahead.
You got it.
No, you got it.
No, you got it.
You said it. I don't know.
Somebody say it.
Just say it.
Yes, he was a general in the American military. He worked his way up from a regular soldier position to the second in command general. Why? Well, he was a bookseller. He owned a bookstore, and his favorite thing to do when he was in between, stocking shelves and checking people out was reading military history and military strategy books. So he was one of the smartest guys here in Boston when the war starts. Works his way up. The only man that has ever outranked my husband is General George Washington himself. George and him were really close friends. Martha and I, we were frenemies. We didn't get along very well, but whatever. My husband is most famous for ending the siege of Boston, kicking the British out of the city of Boston. So when you guys see redcoats running around today, you won't see redcoats running around today because of my husband's work. But enough about him, I'm way more fun. I was known for throwing big, elaborate dinner parties. At Valley Forge, when everybody's freezing and starving to death, I'm having a dinner party. I'm having a very different experience. But my favorite thing to do was to play chess. My favorite food was cheese, and I had 13 children. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. But if you guys have questions throughout the tour about me, about Boston, about anything, please feel free to ask. And as you can tell, I love to talk, so in between stops, I will chit-chat as well. But let's start where we are right now. This is Boston Common. This is the oldest public park here in the United States. It was founded in 1634. Boston itself was founded in 1630, but there were obviously people living here well before that. The first people to live on this land were the Massachusetts Native Americans. They called this land Shawmut. Shawmut means land of living waters. There were 2 freshwater springs where Boston is today. And now let me pull out my handy map, because usually the 2 o'clock has like 30 or 40 people on it, but because we're so small today, I can do all my show and tell stuff because it's easy. But I will swoop this around, don't worry. Boston was a peninsula. We were one road connected to the mainland. Nowadays, if you were to scroll really far out on your Google Maps, Boston would look nothing like this. The majority of the city today is landfill. But as you can see, it's easily defendable over land. It has 2 freshwater springs, and it had 3 very large hills. If you were a European looking to settle the New World, this is the perfect place to go. First European to ever live here was a man named William Blackston. He was an Englishman, and he lived at the top of this hill, Beacon Hill, by himself for 3 years. Allegedly, he had books with him. I would need my Netflix. I would be very bored. He lived here until 1630 when the Puritans came and founded Boston. Now, does anybody remember anything about who the Puritans were?
They were a religious group that didn't agree with the Church of England. And
Absolutely, religious group. What is their reputation?
Very nice.
Puritanical, not very nice. Yeah, so the Church of England, the official church, they were like, these people are too strict. They wanted more rules and less fun, essentially. They are getting in the way of everything and running smoothly in England. So they were like, y'all need to either leave or change and just start behaving a little bit better towards the end of the tour. But this building, essentially what happens is we win the American Revolution, huzzah, but we realize really quickly we don't have a building that's big enough to house a government when we hold elections. So John Hancock donates this land to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and he has a man named Charles Bulfinch design and build this building. Charles Bulfinch can be considered the first American architect, created a style of architecture called Federalist architecture, and there you guys all have it. Pretty much the extent of my knowledge about architecture in one sentence. But he's most famous today because there's a bar down the street named after him. The Bull and Finch Tavern. Sadly, they had to change the sign outside though, because it became so famous as a place where everybody knows your name.
Cheers.
Cheers! Cheers is originally the Bull and Finch Tavern, named after Mr. Charles Bulfinch. But this building was originally very different. The original dome he constructed was made of wood shingles. Now, you don't really have to be an engineer to understand that if you have a curved surface and flat pieces of wood that don't line up with each other, it's not going to end well. We literally fight a war for representative government. We build them a fancy new building, and every time they show up to work, they are cold and miserable. Every time it rained, it would seep through the wood. They reached out to a very famous man, a guy we're going to talk about a lot today, Mr. Paul Revere. He's the one who fixed the problem. Now, Paul Revere, most famous for riding a horse a medium-sized distance very fast, but he also owned a copper foundry. He had just invented a new way of rolling out really thin sheets of copper, so he wrapped the dome in copper. Now, obviously, today we do not have a copper dome. That is real 23-karat gold leaf. We gilded it after the American Civil War. We wanted to show off our wealth and our power here in Massachusetts. If you were to scrape it all off, put it into a ball, it would be about the size of a grapefruit. So it's on there very thin. It's still extremely expensive. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be walking down this way, but we're going to have to cross.
Has the dome always been gold?
No! 1941 to 1945, it was painted dark gray because they were afraid that German U-boats were going to come and hit torpedoes at the city of Boston from the harbor. You're only asking that because you were trying to stump me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be walking this way, but we're going to have to cross the street. Now, this is the part where I want you to speak your mind, and I'm not going to be offended. What do you guys think about Boston drivers?
Are they as bad as New York City drivers?
Yes.
All right, then probably not highly.
The term masshole.
Yes, the term masshole is a technical term. It is a very technical term. A magazine called, or newspaper called The Liberator. He's going to be on the AP if you take the AP. He's always on the AP.
I'm taking AP World History, but you don't take American History again till 11.
Okay, well, when you take it, he's always on the AP. William Lloyd Garrison is giving this anti-slavery speech. Says slavery is immoral, should be abolished in every state in the Union. Now, a lot of people think that Boston is this super liberal hippie place because we have so many college students, but sometimes we're really not. William Lloyd Garrison is standing there. People start climbing up these poles. They tear him down from the balcony and they beat him up in the streets to get him to stop talking. Massachusetts, Boston specifically, was the last Major League Baseball team to integrate. We were also the last public school system to integrate in the 1970s. So, bursting the bubble, we're not very liberal. And on those stairs right there in 1831, getting us back onto a fun topic, on those stairs, the first time ever the song My Country 'Tis of Thee was ever sung was by a group of school children right on those stairs. Now, there are some tour guides who will force you to stand on those stairs and sing for them, but do not worry, I am a good tour guide. I will not make you do that today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going into the granary next. This is a cemetery. It was not made for us. It was made for the dead people. So it can get a little bit crowded in there. It's very popular. This is just me warning you that people are just dying to get in there. Follow me. All right, guys, don't worry. I'm not that scary. We can come a little bit closer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Granary Burying Ground. This is the third oldest burying ground here in the city of Boston. It was founded in 1660. There are about 2,300 headstones here, but there are probably somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people buried here. Now, that's a huge difference in those numbers for a lot of reasons. The headstones are made of a very weak stone called shale. It splits right down the middle. I mean, it is not super great in our climate, so it's not going to last a very long time. Also, a lot of the headstones will just have a last name on them. The whole family will be buried under one headstone. Along those lines, a lot of people couldn't even afford to have a headstone when they were buried here. So that makes up for a little bit of the difference. This place looks very different than it would have during my time. In the late 1800s, this became a tourist attraction. They added the path here. They moved all the headstones into nice, neat rows so that it was easier to landscape and mow the lawn, which is disrespectful. I don't know why. And they added this in the middle. Now, from the street, they want you to think that that is Benjamin Franklin. They want you to be on the street walking by, oh, wow, Benjamin Franklin, founding father, let me go pay my respects. You would pay at admission price. You would walk all the way up to that metal plaque, and you'd find out that that is the final resting place of Benjamin Franklin's parents. Josiah and Tobiah Franklin, they were so in love, their names rhymed. They are buried here. Ben is buried in Philadelphia, where he spent the majority of his life. So we're going to see a bunch of famous people today. I think we're going to start off with Mr. John Hancock, so if you would follow me. Very large one in its place. By the way, what do we know about John Hancock? What's he famous for?
Big signature on the Declaration of Independence.
Big signature, right? And does anyone know why he signed it so big?
So King George could see it. I'm gonna know a lot of these answers. I mean,
Yeah? All right, ladies and gentlemen, he was the richest man in the city of Boston during the American Revolution. He earned it the old-fashioned way. He inherited it from a dead uncle. His uncle died, left him a shipping empire. So he became a merchant, but he realized really quickly he would make a lot more money if he just didn't pay his taxes. So he became a smuggler. He smuggled goods here into the city of Boston. Ladies and gentlemen, he smuggled one of my favorite goods into the city of Boston. He was a wine smuggler.
Remember we watched that series?
Yeah. Now, when we think of wine today, we think of things like Cabernet Sauvignon or Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay. Back then, the wines that they drank on a daily basis would have been what we think of today as dessert wines, ports. And his specialty was Madeira, Portuguese dessert wines. So smaller glasses, higher alcohol content. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the tour where I tell you that the majority of your tour ticket today has gone to preserving places like the Granary. Here we are a non-profit, so anything we make goes straight back to the sites that we visit. But any tips you decide to give me at the end of the tour, that just goes to wine. So I thank you in advance. These are both fantastic causes. But he uses all this extra money to fund the American Revolution. Essentially, people like Sam Adams, who we're going to see a little bit later, they don't have to have jobs. They can spend all of their money, all of their time figuring out new and creative ways of annoying the British government because they're on his payroll. So, as a thank you, he's elected the president of the Second Continental Congress in 1776. This is where they write the
Declaration of Independence.
Thank you, Declaration of Independence. And as the president, he is supposed to be the only person to sign the document. He signs it, moves on. A couple days later, though, everyone's like, we just committed treason, and the only guy that's going to get in trouble is the only guy whose name is on it, John. So they felt bad. They decided to sign in solidarity with him. There were 54 more of them that needed to sign to take the heat off of him, essentially. They had to sign really small around him, making his signature look huge. And why could they not sign the back of the Declaration of Independence?
Because there's a map on the back.
There's a secret map that Nicolas Cage has to find. Absolutely. You're killing it. It's my favorite movie.
Oh, he was just watching it the other night. So.
It's a great movie. It's always on TV. And I love it. I like the second one, though, because Ed Harris is in it. I like Ed Harris a lot. I think he's a great actor. Back to the tour. I was taught in school that he signed it so big so that old King George could read it without his spectacles on. That's an amazing story. That just happens to not be from a poem that was written about 50 years after his death by a man named Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It is not meant to be a historically accurate poem. It's meant to rhyme and be entertaining. So a lot of the details in it are just kind of off. So I'm going to talk about the Midnight Ride, but first I want to talk about who Paul was. Paul Revere was the son of an immigrant from France named Apollon Rivoire. Changed his name to Paul Revere when he came to the United States because he thought an English name would help his business. He thought he could easily integrate into Boston society that way. So the Paul Revere that we talk about the Midnight Ride, is actually Paul Revere Jr. Who knew? There's your fun fact to annoy your families with. What did you learn on the Freedom Trail? Paul Revere's Paul Revere Jr. Killing it. Paul Revere, the one that's famous, henceforth referred to just as Paul Revere, was a silversmith, goldsmith, coppersmith, bell maker, president of the Board of Public Health, and a part-time dentist. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go to a part-time dentist. It's a terrible decision. You guys go, your parents take you to dentists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to college to be a dentist, right?
Not sure. The guy cracks jokes a lot.
Yeah, most dentists aren't really funny. Sorry, she's a dentist. Gotta make fun of my mom. He knows everybody in the city of Boston because he has such varied jobs. He's able to know people all over different social sections of the city. He's also in a Masonic lodge. It's kind of like being in a fraternity or a sorority in college. You pay the His biggest accomplishment is the Boston Massacre. And if you're saying to yourself right now, oh my, I don't remember what the Boston Massacre is, don't worry. We're gonna go see the site of it later where it happened, and I'll tell you all about it. But he names it the Boston Massacre, and he organizes the funerals for the victims. Buried in his family plot are the victims of the Boston Massacre. These men were poor, they were dockyard workers and sailors. They would not have been able to afford such a fancy burial here at this time. Sam Adams tries to elevate their status after their death. I'm going to mention two of them in particular. Patrick Carr was an Irish immigrant. Now, everybody pretty much assumes that we're all Irish here in Boston nowadays, but at this point in history, we were an English city. The English are not always kind to the Irish. He would have been considered a second-class citizen. He is also Catholic. He is one of two Catholics buried in this entire cemetery. But the most famous person buried here is Crispus Attucks. Crispus Attucks is what they would have referred to at the time as a mulatto. He was half black, half Native American. Essentially, Sam Adams paid a ridiculous amount of money to have him buried here because the prices were exponentially higher to be buried here if you weren't white. So Sam Adams is saying, I don't care what this man's religion is, I don't care what the other man's skin color is, they are a unit, they gave their lives for the American cause. Ladies and gentlemen, they died 5 years before there was an American cause, and they died in a glorified street fight. Sam Adams was very good at his job. Now, we're gonna go over and take some photos and say hi to him, but first, I wanna give you guys the best joke of the tour. You guys ready? Emotionally? If you know it, don't ruin it. Across the street is the Beantown Pub, the most famous bar in the world because it is the only bar in the world where you can have a cold Sam Adams while looking at a cold Sam Adams.
Ha ha ha.
Thanks, Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna walk.
12 years old. This guy was not above.
Okay, there's some really great colors. What? What's the star next to his grave? The star?
Fireman.
It probably just, that's a revolutionary society. They place these at the graves of people they find important. Most of them fall apart or they're stolen. So he's out of there's a great car.
One burger. Yeah. Where we stayed. Loved this hotel. It was a very nice hotel.
Missing people? We might be missing people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about a couple different buildings from this spot right here. This is King's Chapel, the first Anglican church here in the city of Boston. The Puritans refused to sell the king any land here in the city, so when the king in 1686 got fed up, he built this church right on top of the oldest graveyard of the city of Boston, being quoted as saying, "The dead cannot complain." Across the street over there, the Omni Parker House Hotel, the oldest continuously operating hotel in the United States. It is most famous for inventing the Boston cream pie and Parker House rolls. So, if you've ever had a Boston cream donut, you can thank them. If you've never had one, I recommend you do that right after the tour. Go to Dunk's and get one. But they're famous for a lot of the famous people that have stayed or worked there. This was Charles Dickens' favorite hotel in the United States. They say he's never checked out. They say he haunts a mirror on the second floor by the elevators, and if you look into it long enough, you will see Mr. Dickens staring back at you. I've tried this. I have not seen him. It's fine. John F. Kennedy proposed to Jackie Bouvier in the dining room of the hotel, and John F. Kennedy had his bachelor party at the hotel. John Wilkes Booth stayed here the week before he assassinated President Lincoln. His brother was like the George Clooney of Boston. He was extremely famous, and so he was coming to say goodbye to his brother. So when the most popular actor in Boston's brother assassinates the president. It's a big deal here in Boston. But my favorite are the people who worked at the hotel. I think it's funny that famous people at one point had to show up and get a paycheck for menial labor. Malcolm X, the civil rights leader, was a busboy here at the hotel when he was a teenager. It was his part-time job in high school. And Ho Chi Minh was a pastry chef at the hotel when he was in his early 20s, which means at some point in history, somebody had a Boston cream pie made by the future leader of communist North Vietnam. Nuts. It's in the Ken Burns
That's not a joke, is it?
No, it's in the Ken Burns documentary. This statue right here is of Benjamin Franklin. It is the site of the original Boston Latin School, the first public school in the United States.
So Mrs. Wong got Starbucks.
Town meetings started to be held after Faneuil Hall got too small. Essentially, everybody in Boston wants to come to the town meetings. We don't have a building big enough. We started housing them in this church right here. But this is where the Boston Tea Party happened. Now, we're going to talk about the Tea Party, but it is a lot of tax policy. So I apologize in advance. I will have a reward at the end. You're in charge of making sure I remember the reward, right?
Sure.
Cool.
I'll remember.
I asked him. Before the American Revolution, there was another war here. Does anybody remember the name of said war?
French and Indian War.
Yes, absolutely. You beat him. Thank God. Somebody had to. Take you down a peg. You're very silly and you're very smart.
I'm filming this for all my friends at school, and they're going to be like, Josh didn't get the first answer in a history question.
You got roasted. Guys, the French and Indian War. If you are from any other country in the world, however, they do not call it the French and Indian War. They call it the 7 Years' War. Why do we have a different name? We're special and we wanted one. The British and the French fight each other on our soil. The British spend a lot of money doing so, and they want us to pay them back. Do you guys think we wanted to pay them back?
Nope.
Heck no. So, what we do is when we refuse, they start putting taxes on everyday goods, goods we cannot avoid buying. Things like glass, molasses, lead, and paper. I know, things we use every day, right? But these were very bad. And when they would go into effect, we would riot. We would break things, we would tear down buildings, we would set things on fire. Essentially, we would riot like we won some sort of World Series, World Championship, which we do all the time here in Boston because we're fantastic. Usually the governor would get scared. They would end the tax early or they wouldn't enforce it fully. That is until the Tea Act of 1773. That's different for a lot of reasons, but yes, it's a tax on tea. You know, there's a little bit of a surcharge there. But also, only one company is allowed to sell tea. The old British East India Company. So picture by the British royal government. Pirates of the Caribbean. This would have been where all the British officers would have had their buildings. Only 3 men in the city of Boston were allowed to sell that because of the statues. The lion represents the King of England, King George III, and the unicorn represents Scotland because Scotland is the only country in the world with unicorns. I'm just kidding. It's their national animal. In the United States, we have the bald eagle. They've got the unicorn. It's awesome. But that balcony is very important. On that balcony, on July 17th of 1776, a man came out and for the first time ever read aloud the Declaration of Independence to a crowd that was gathered here in the intersection. Everyone was so excited that somebody decided to climb up the sides of the building, tear down the original lion and unicorn structures, and they had a bonfire in the middle of the street. Here's my youth joke. It was lit. Was that cool?
No. She's too young. And I'm too old.
Oh, she's gonna smack you. Okay, guys. This is also where the Boston Massacre happened, and shockingly, it did not revolve around this building. It actually revolved around the building over there. That is not a colonial building.
I hope not.
The building that used to be there was called the Counting House. all of the money coming off the ships in the form of taxes and gold and silver would have been held in this building right here. So this is also the area where sailors get off of work. And what do sailors like to do when they're done working?
Drinking?
Drink. I knew you would help me out on that one. Yeah. You were? Oh, awesome. You should hit up the Mariner's House while you're here down in the North End. It's really cool. Having a bunch of bars around a building filled with gold and silver just isn't safe. So this building had a British soldier stationed at all times, a guy named Private Hugh White. His job is to stand there and make sure nobody breaks in. Now it is March, it's very cold, it had just snowed, so it's not a very fun job to be outside. So he's standing there on March 5th of 1770. It's hot, it's my second tour of the day, it's almost over. Whoa. A man walks up to him who's probably intoxicated, a young milliner's apprentice. Does anybody know what a milliner is? I got a bunch of people today. Yes, a hat maker or a wig maker. Guys, kudos. This guy sees Private White and just starts yelling at him. I made your boss a wig, and your boss never paid me back. Your boss owes me money, but wait, you're a damn lobster. You owe me money. Why do we call British soldiers lobsters?
Because of the red jackets.
They wore red coats. They looked like a little boiled lobster. We're very mean here in Boston. This guy is yelling at Private White. Private White's like, I don't even know who this dude is. So he says, please stop yelling at me. I'm just trying to do my job. But the guy keeps yelling, you owe me money. Our boss owes me money. Private White gets angry and he decides the only way he's going to solve the situation is through violence. He takes his musket. The part of the musket that sits against the shoulder is called the butt of the musket. He flips it around and he whacks the guy right in the face and he breaks his nose. Have any of you guys ever broken your nose before?
No.
Some people, yeah, it hurts, right? But does it also bleed a lot more than you're expecting? Yes. So this guy is drunk, angry, and now he's in pain and he's covered in blood. He runs down Devonshire Street down there. He runs into a bar and he yells into the bar, help, help, they've murdered me, they've murdered me.
What? Except he's not dead yet.
Exactly.
Well, obviously he's not dead.
Yeah, well, the people in the bar don't care. They want to go beat up a British soldier. So 40 men leave the bar. They surround Private White and they start throwing things at him. They start with snowballs and then they move on to ice and then rocks. Private White's terrified, but he can't leave. This is his post. So he sends word with somebody he recognizes up this street right here to the barracks. And the commanding officer comes back with 7 other soldiers. So there are 8 regular soldiers and 1 commanding officer. Their plan is they're going to stand shoulder to shoulder with their weapons pointed out and their bayonets attached. They're going to march through the crowd and they're going to push them out of the way. They're going to get to safety up here, but by the time they all get into formation, the crowd that was 40 people is now 350 people large. There's no way that they're going to push through. So the 8 regular soldiers are still standing here like this, but the commanding officer is going to stand in between his men and the crowd to make sure nobody gets hurt. He can't be in 2 places at once, though. He's over here making sure these crazy people aren't doing anything wrong, when all the way on the end over here, one of the British soldiers is pushed really hard in the shoulder. He falls backwards. As he's falling, he drops his weapon. It hits the ground so hard it goes off without him pulling the trigger, shooting and killing a man instantly, a 6'4" black man named Crispus Attucks. Commanding officer didn't see any of this, he only heard it. So when he turns around and sees somebody dead on the ground, he's mad. He marches over to the soldier, he stands over him and he yells at him, who commanded you to fire? Who told you to fire? But his back is to his men and the crowd is yelling, so the men behind him only hear one word, fire. They shoot into the crowd, they kill 5 people and they wound 6 others. Does that sound like a massacre?
No.
Sounds like Chicago, actually.
Move. The original name for what happened was not the Boston Massacre, it was the unfortunate incident on King Street. An unfortunate incident, 5 people died, that's a terrible name. So Sam Adams renames it the Bloody Boston Massacre and he has this drawing made. Have you guys ever seen this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna see, should make sure everybody sees it.
I still study teacher had a copy hanging in his classroom.
A lot of them do. My office has a copy hanging in my classroom.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Have you guys seen this before? Mostly everybody. This is by Mr. Paul Revere. He plagiarized it from a man named Henry Pelham. He did have to pay a lot of damages, but Henry there. You could literally row your boat off. The first floor is a marketplace. You could buy, sell, trade goods like produce, textiles, and people. This was one of the hubs of the slave trade here in the city of Boston. Now, if you go into the building, you will not see a lot of information about that. We have kind of ignored this part of our history for ever. So there's a commission together here in the city of Boston to try and figure out the best way to memorialize the people who were sold into bondage here in the city of Boston. The second floor is the Great Hall. More people visit the Great Hall every year than visit the White House in Washington, D.C. I think less security, it's free, there's never a line. That's why. I would recommend you guys go in after the tour. It's very good. There's a nice portrait of my husband, Henry, there. But that is where nowadays we have swearing-in ceremonies for new American citizens. I love seeing this because I love seeing very happy people with little tiny flags. It's very fun. But the most famous thing about this building is on the very top. It is the weather vane. It is a golden grasshopper. Now, everything I've told you guys in the tour so far has had some sort of meaning or significance. This does not. Peter Faneuil was in London. He saw a building with a grasshopper weather vane on it, and like any rich guy, he wanted one too. So he had one made, put on top of his building here. Its most famous use, however, was in the War of 1812. So we win the American Revolution, huzzah. We realize, England realizes really quickly that they miss us and they want us back. So they send people to Boston, spies, during the war. And now these spies had the very similar accents to us at the time, so it's really hard to tell who was a Bostonian and who was a British spy. So we asked them a trivia question. What flies over Faneuil Hall? If you were new in town, you'd think, I don't know, a bird, a pigeon, or a seagull. But if you were a true Bostonian, you would know exactly what flies over Faneuil Hall. The golden grasshopper. So if anybody ever suspects you guys of being British spies, you can tell them that you've been to Boston, you hung out with Lucy Flucker-Knox, and you know exactly what flies over Faneuil Hall.
Great Hall, the second floor of the
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.
second floor of the of that hall we visited with the gift shop next to Quincy Market. Look to this whole place on the second floor. Hey Ma, what's this place called again? Faneuil Hall. There's a golden grasshopper on top of it, of all things. Look at this. Look at that. So you can fit this many people in here. Same people with powdered wigs and oh, look at that. It's just like the one that's on Griffith's Air Force Base. Hey Ma, come over here. It's just like the one that's on Griffith's Air Force Base. Yeah, except this one isn't taking up room in a roundabout. Very, very cool. Look at that light. Not satisfied to be turned by light, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Look at that. Gosh. John Quincy Adams, Dr. Webster. John Hammond doesn't look like a disgruntled man. Not really quite sure why, but you'll never know. Look at that. Look at these paintings up. Oh, there's Sam Adams. George Washington. The painting is proudly displaying his horse's butt.
It was his horse's best setting.
Look at this one down here. Sure, this is. Everybody's seen this painting. At least I've seen it more times than I can count. I really don't know what it's of, so let's take a look. Oh, my milk show. Covering the retreat from Breed's Hill, Battle of Bunker. Ah, so Breed's Hill, the actual hill where the Battle of Bunker Hill was fought the next hill over, not on Bunker Hill. Mr. Let me get down a little bit further. Oh, there. Yeah. Oh, the facts about the Omni Park were nice. We're not passing this key card. Very, very interesting place, though. Very nice. We're sitting up here and in the back as well. That at least is interesting. Wow. Hi, Mom. Very interesting. back in Quincy Market. Yeah, I sat in that corner up there. I ate chicken. My friends had Chinese food for some reason. They came to Boston to have fake Chinese food. King's Chapel. Not the one we visited. We visited the Old North Church. First Anglican Chapel. I don't know, it's an Anglican Chapel. It's like a Catholic chapel with no brass or gold and except the priest sits on that thing. Huh.
Where's Mama?
Oh, we lost her again. Oh, grief. So, it's kind of interesting. People back then didn't sit in church pews, they sat in boxes. Yeah, I'm not gonna ruin the church pew. It's kind of interesting, Dad, don't you think?
Oh, not as comfy as it looked.
Dad, Matthew, what do you think is comfier? Our church pews or these? Oh, people back then sat in boxes. People back then sat in boxes, not church pews.
A little different, huh, ma'am? What?
No.
Sat in boxes? Huh. I don't know this camera's gonna go down. So instead of a, what do these have? She's huh. Look at that chandelier, Dad. Maybe needs that in her dining room.
Yeah.
That one works. Ah. Just camera before we can get there.
Smaller than a church. So a chapel might have
Huh.
one altar.
Governors.
Minister.
So look at that. Let me see, good drink. You have the priest. Owner of pews 5. So you had to buy church pews. I guess you were right. Huh. Take away from the church.
Some of them had little desks in there, little spots for your umbrellas.
I mean, look at, like, they have wooden armrests mounted to the cushioning. And they have like a little spot for the Bible and the hymns. Strangers, they make you buy church pews. I wonder if that's how the Anglican Church did it, because they didn't have nearly as much money, at least in America, compared to the Catholic Church. Hey everybody, our second day here in Boston, and the church is like the church of gold. Oh, so cute. Yeah, I'm turning the aquarium now. Over here. Oh, and there's the penguin. The baby penguin. Let's hope I don't run out of sticker space today. Let's hope anyway. Yeah, they're gonna this way now. So. the penguins. My brother really likes the penguins.
You can't see them this close at Syracuse Zoo, huh?
Look at them. They're so cute. Yes, my brother loves the penguins. Oh, and they're being fed. Finally, just in the school cafeteria. Everyone lines up and gets food shoved. What do you think of the penguins, Matt? Think that paper's waterproof? It's just writing on. Oh no. In the ocean, black and white tuxedo coloring provides penguins from predators. View from above the white. That view from below the white. Huh. Yeah, look at this. Their skin color is actually adapted for camouflage. Look at the little ones over there. But hey, what are you gonna do?
There's more penguins over here. You want to see those penguins?
Multi level. Let's go see these penguins. Dun dun. I think they keep the babies separated. Turn on the beam. Turn on the beam of light with the bottom. Move the beam across the pool. Watch the penguins trace the light as they are hunting for fish in the wild. Penguin staff understand with the feeding. Aww. Hey mom. Hey mom. You can actually. Oh, look at it. Mama. They actually have a thing where you can have them chase the light, but they deactivate it during feeding. Aw, I wanted to see that. Look at all the little ones. They're stuck. Look at them shaking. They're scared. Oh, they look scared. But they're being just like here. Da, 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 da. These ones are mad for some reason. Like, really mad. I'm gonna turn it off now. This is kind of deafening. And now we're going upstairs. And you can see, what do they call that turtle from? Maybe we'll see him in this thing. I saw a giant turtle. Maybe. Look at this though. Very nice. Oh, more penguins. We found more penguins.
We didn't see these before.
No, this was the part at the beginning.
No, it wasn't that. Oh, more penguins. They're being fed.
Where? Canada.
There, I see. Oh, there's a giant fish. There's the turtle.
See it?
You think this fish would try to eat the smaller fishes?
Yeah. What could this be, like the world's largest penguin?
The penguin skeleton. They killed the penguin and put it up there. I think they have. What is that thing over there? Where to get around to that side? No, not only from up top.
They're splashy.
The splashies. The splashies. The splashies, right, Matt? There's more!
Maybe you could come here every day, my friend.
You should get a job here, Matt. Should we move to Boston? Just for this?
Where's the one baby?
There's a baby penguin?
There was, like younger.
Oh, there he is. Is that him over there? Swimming to the corner? Look at all of them in the back. Under this ramp. They're hiding.
How are you doing it?
Very cool. This penguin's still being out. School of fish. Swimming in a circle. So they just like swim in a circle forever, do you think?
It looks like it.
Wait a while. Huh. Dad, I'm talking to whales.
Yeah.
Piranhas. What? These fish, piranhas. So will they literally just start like attacking you?
Yes.
Sheesh.
They will swarm and eat you. Come here.
Not very flattering fish, apparently. Much cuter fish now that won't eat you. Look at the little fish. They're so cute. Can we get a fish? What is that?
That one died.
No.
What?
Eats algae on the glass.
Maybe. But he's the only one that I can see. Dad, there's a snake in here too.
There's a turtle.
You see the snake?
Oh, yeah.
The butter snake.
Oh, there's one up here.
There's a turtle, Matt. You like turtles? Hey, they have these at the zoo at home. I don't see any frogs though. Oh, there's them. Oh, he's an arrow frog. So they're all poison frogs. Flattering.
Hey, look at the
Hey, that's not nice. What are these seahorses doing? Seahorses, men seahorses have the babies for some reason. There's another one. Look at all the clamshells though. There's a fish up there.
Oh, there he is. I couldn't find him. Oh, he is. Man.
What are they? Eel?
It's an eel.
So how come they don't electrify the water and fry themselves?
Because then they'd have a very short life.
You'd think. How do you compare to an eel? All animals, including you, give off small amounts of electricity. This electricity is produced by eels use electricity in a different way. They can store up a charge outside their bodies and send the prep. Look at this, Dad. This is how much electricity we give off.
Yeah.
Not fun. So I wonder what how these little fish are getting
Daddy,
stuck.
you have to see the eel.
There's an eel.
There's the eel, Daddy. Look at him. What is it now?
Look at that turtle. Look at this. Look at how big this place was. Sheesh. Hey, my father is right. That isn't one big turtle. Oh, sheesh. Oh, and there it is again. That's a wall. Yeah, are you enjoying the aquarium? It's the same sign they have up in Florida. Kind of. Oh. Hi.
Oh, these are pippins. These are the ones that,
Look at them. In the back.
remember the little Pixar short?
I'm
Where
sorry.
they would go to the edge of the sea, into the water, and pull out the food.
That's
See
cute.
it right here.
Another big turtle.
Yeah. Look at
That is a big turtle.
yeah, North Pole of the South Pole.
You're saying it's a big turtle. Think we can find some? That's right over where we live. There's a big
You want to go up to the next level? Okay.
How do you? I think you have to take the stairs, Dad.
Yeah, get the stairs.
It's over here.
It holds 200,000 gallons of Boston Harbor water. We bring it into the facility, we warm it up to a greater temperature, about 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and put it in this tank. The water gets recycled about every 90 minutes. As it does get recycled, you notice that most of the animals they swim in a counterclockwise direction. That's because as the fresh water comes in, the new water comes in, it comes in and creates a slight current, and they'll swim maybe against the current. Now in our tank, like I said, this is a tropical tank with a coral reef in it. We have 3 green moray eels. We have 2 of them on our way over here, and they're kind of like getting acquainted. And we also have 3 turtles, sea turtles, 2 loggerheads, and 1 green sea turtle. Our green sea turtle is Myrtle. She's our most famous turtle. She's Myrtle.
Look at all the different levels.
The other 2 are Carolina and Retread. One of them's over here on my left, swinging around, and I'm not sure where the other one is. See them flying out? Like I said, over here we have our barracuda. These are animals here up to our aquarium. They can swim around. They don't leave here like my name. They're very good. They're really using just maybe about 5 or 6 inches. Right together with every healthcare system in it. We do have a healthcare system here. We have some vets and our techs. They're behind the scenes. They take very good care of all of our animals throughout the aquarium. Now, if you notice here on the right side, Myrtle's being fed. Now, Myrtle can eat up to 5 pounds of food per day. Now, most of her food will be vegetation. She does eat a little bit of squid, suicide, and lettuce. Now, when we feed her squid, we put in her squid vitamins and minerals. That way we know she's getting everything that she needs to eat. And you watch this here, there we go. We fed her squid right now. She loves the squid. When she comes around, like I said, she can eat up to 5 pounds a day. We have to be very cautious because the other
All the turtles. 2 big turtles.
How do we make sure every animal gets fed? Well, you know she's feeding this particular turtle here, the turtle. The other 2 turtles, if you look at the divers, they have a swim bottle, and they have that rattle that they'll take to the bottom.
This is interesting. We found the giant turtle again. It looks much bigger in real life, trust me. Seal shell. Seal shell.
Alright everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Newland Aquarium. My name is Mario. I'm one of the trainers. So in the first couple of minutes you guys got to see some of the natural capabilities of our California sea lions. So for some introductions, right next to me we have Kim. And then right next to Kim, right in the middle, we have Paul. And Paul is teaching Zoe. And then we have my co-trainer Vanessa, right up in the far right there. And she'll be working with Tipper. So one really cool thing about these animals is where do they live and why do we train them. So the California sea lions are mainly found in the west coast of the United States, to British Columbia and Canada. You never get to see California sea lion off the Indian coast. And usually one of the things.
So to wrap up what happened yesterday, we left the aquarium. Had to do a few talks. I didn't want to film those. Left the aquarium. We had lunch at a nice restaurant. We went to the Paul Rear house, but I didn't want to film any there. Well, I didn't want to film a meal. That would have been rude, and Paul Rear house doesn't want me filming. But but today is Wednesday, and I would think that is it for HistoryBoyCNY meets Boston again, or part 2? No, part 2 is what I'm going to call these vlogs. HistoryBoy meets Boston. HistoryBoyCNY meets Boston again. That's what I'm going to call this. Today's Wednesday, we're not doing anything else today because I was banging up and leaving. So I hope you all enjoyed the vlog. If you really liked it, leave a like. If you really liked it, feel free to subscribe. And I'm been HistoryBoyCNY. This has been Boston, Massachusetts. It's been great, Boston. Thank you. And we sit at the Kimpton, I think. Kimpton? I think it was the Kimpton, yeah. The Kimpton Hotel. It's here at the Omni Park, which I stayed yesterday. If you look at the vlogs, you might actually be able to see it. It's like the one with the overhang, but it's very nice hotel. I totally recommend it. But I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.